The phone rang. Sarah rushed to answer. A police officer spoke. Her son, David, was gone. A drunk driver had hit his car. The world shattered. Sarah fell to her knees. Sobs racked her body.
David, her bright, kind David, gone.
Days blurred into weeks. Grief consumed Sarah. The world felt cold and empty. Anger simmered within her.
How could this happen? How could someone be so reckless?
The driver's name was Tony. Sarah clung to that name. It fueled her rage. The trial date arrived like a storm cloud. Sarah sat in the courtroom, a storm raging inside her. Tony sat opposite her, head bowed. He looked young, lost. But Sarah saw only a monster. The monster who stole her son. The trial proceeded. Witnesses testified. Evidence was presented. The verdict was never in doubt. Guilty. Sarah felt a cold satisfaction. Justice would be served. But as the judge spoke of sentencing, something shifted within Sarah.
Your Honor, I would like to speak.
She turned to face Tony. He looked up, eyes filled with fear.
I want you to know that I hate what you did. You took my son from me.
Tears streamed down her face. But then she spoke the words that shocked even herself.
But I also believe in forgiveness. I don't want to see you rot in prison. I want you to turn your life around. For David, and for yourself.
A hush fell over the courtroom. Sarah had offered a glimmer of hope. The judge, visibly moved, took Sarah's words into consideration. Tony's sentence was lighter than expected. He would spend several years in prison, followed by probation and community service. Leaving the courtroom, Sarah was met with a mix of reactions. Some understood. Others, consumed by their own grief, judged her. Sarah retreated inward.
She knew her decision to forgive wasn't about Tony. It was about her. She refused to let anger consume her. She wouldn't let David's memory be overshadowed by hate.
The road to forgiveness was long and arduous. There were days when anger threatened to pull her under. But Sarah clung to her faith, to David's memory, and to the hope she'd offered Tony. One evening, Sarah sat down and wrote a letter. Not to Tony, not yet. This letter was to David. She poured her heart out, her pain, her anger, her struggle to forgive, and in writing she found a sliver of peace. It was time. Sarah picked up another piece of paper. This time she addressed it to Tony. Her hand trembled as she wrote. She didn't know what to say.
She told him about her pain, yes, but also about David, about his kind heart, his love for animals, his infectious laugh. She told Tony that she forgave him, even if he couldn't forgive himself.
She sealed the letter, a prayer in her heart. Weeks later, Sarah received a reply. Tony's words were clumsy, filled with shame and remorse. He wrote about his own struggles, the guilt that gnawed at him.
Sarah, your forgiveness is a lifeline in my sea of despair. I promise to honor David's memory by turning my life around.
Sarah read the letter again and again. Tony's words, raw and honest, touched her heart.
For the first time, I see not a monster, but a young man consumed by guilt. A young man desperate for redemption.
She wrote back, sharing her own journey of grief and forgiveness. She encouraged Tony to seek therapy, to find solace in faith, to use his experience to help others. Their letters became a lifeline. They wrote about their lives, their struggles, their hopes.
Tony, I've learned about your difficult childhood, your battle with addiction. David had dreams, a love for music, and an infectious laughter.
With each letter, the chasm between them narrowed. Sarah found herself looking forward to Tony's letters. They offered a strange comfort, a connection in her grief.
Forgiveness isn't a single act, but a journey we are taking together.
Tony's letters became less about guilt and more about hope.
I'm receiving therapy reading books and doing volunteer work within the prison.
Years passed. The letters continued. They shared their joys and sorrows.
I've been volunteering at a local hospice, finding solace in helping others navigate grief.
I'm making progress in therapy, committed to sobriety, and dreaming of working with youth to prevent drunk driving.
Their correspondence blossomed into an unlikely friendship. They found solace in their shared loss, understanding in their shared humanity.
I no longer see Tony as the monster who stole my son, but as a young man who made a terrible mistake and is striving to atone for it.
The day of Tony's release arrived. Sarah stood outside the prison gates, a mix of emotions swirling within her, nervousness, apprehension, but also a sense of hope. A car pulled up. Tony stepped out. He looked different, older, thinner, but his eyes held a newfound clarity. he saw Sarah. Their eyes met, and in that moment, years of pain and forgiveness culminated in a single, silent nod.
Tony,
Sarah embraced Tony. It was a hug of forgiveness, of acceptance, of shared humanity. Tony clung to her, tears streaming down his face.
Thank you for everything.
Sarah led Tony to her car. The drive back was filled with a comfortable silence, a testament to the bond they had forged through their letters. Tony lived with Sarah for a while. It felt natural, like a son returning home. The bond they shared grew stronger with each passing day. They found comfort in each other's company, like a son and mother rediscovering their connection. He helped her around the house, bringing in groceries and fixing leaky faucets. They worked side by side, creating a rhythm that felt both new and familiar. They shared meals, stories, and laughter. Each moment was a step towards healing, a testament to the resilience of their spirits.
you know, Tony, it's like having David back in some small way. Tony felt a deep sense of belonging, a connection that transcended time and loss.
David's memory was ever present, a gentle reminder of the past, but it no longer cast a shadow over their lives. Instead, it illuminated the path they were now walking together. It was a reminder of the love they had lost and the forgiveness they had found. Each photograph told a story of resilience and hope. Their embrace was a symbol of the healing power of love and the strength of the human spirit.
I owe it all to you, Sarah. You've given me a second chance. You've given me a second chance. Your kindness and forgiveness have changed my life.
Tony secured a job at a local community center working with at-risk youth. He shared his story, his remorse, his journey towards redemption. His words resonated deeply with the young people he mentored. He became a beacon of hope, a living testament to the possibility of change, proving that even from the darkest depths one could rise again. His journey inspired many to believe in the power of second chances.
I'm so proud of you, Tony. Your courage and determination have made all the difference. You're living proof of the power of forgiveness. Your story is a beacon of hope for others.
Sarah watched him, her heart filled with pride. She saw in him the strength to overcome, the will to change, and the power of love. He was living proof of the power of forgiveness. His journey was a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit. Their story spread, first locally, then nationally. It started with a small article in the local newspaper, but soon, it was picked up by larger media outlets. Newspapers and television stations clamored to interview them. Reporters were eager to capture every detail of their journey. Sarah and Tony shared their journey with grace and honesty, opening up about their struggles and triumphs. Their story touched countless lives, resonating deeply with people from all walks of life.
We want people to know that forgiveness is possible, that even in the hardest of times, there is a path to healing. Even in the hardest of times, when it feels like the world is falling apart, there is hope.
They received letters from people all over the world, each one sharing a personal story of loss, forgiveness, and redemption. These letters were filled with heartfelt stories, each one a testament to the human spirit's resilience. Sarah and Tony began speaking at schools, churches, and community centers, spreading their message far and wide.
It's important to talk about the dangers of drunk driving, to educate and inform the public about the risks, and the importance of personal responsibility, making choices that protect not just ourselves, but others too.
They spoke about the dangers of drunk driving, emphasizing the need for awareness and change, the importance of personal responsibility, making the right choices to ensure everyone's safety, and the transformative power of forgiveness, showing that even the deepest wounds can heal. They offered a message of hope, reminding people that even in the face of unimaginable tragedy, healing and redemption were possible. Their words brought comfort to many.
Remember, no matter how dark it gets, there's always a chance for a new beginning. Every sunrise brings a new opportunity to start over.
Years later, Sarah and Tony stood side by side, their hearts beating in unison with a shared purpose. They looked out at a crowd of faces, each one reflecting a story of its own. They were no longer just a grieving mother and a remorseful young man. They had transformed into beacons of hope, symbols of resilience and strength. Their story had become a testament to the power of forgiveness, a narrative that resonated deeply with everyone who heard it.
We've turned our pain into purpose, channeling our grief into something meaningful. Our loss has been transformed into a legacy that continues to inspire and uplift.
They had turned their pain into purpose, their sorrow into a mission that touched countless lives. their loss into a legacy. The road had been long and winding, the journey arduous and filled with challenges. But through forgiveness, they had found redemption, not just for Tony, but for themselves.
We've inspired countless others to embrace forgiveness, to let go of their anger and pain, to choose hope over hate, to see the light in the darkest of times.
And in doing so, they inspired countless others to embrace forgiveness, to open their hearts to the possibility of healing, to choose hope over hate, to believe in the possibility of second chances and new beginnings. Their story, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, continued to ripple outward, touching lives and offering hope long after their voices were stilled. It was a legacy that would live on, a beacon of light in a world that often seemed dark.